This is Brunaboyne. It is 5,000 years old, older than the pyramids of ancient Egypt. We think of ancient Rome as 2,000 years before us. To an ancient Roman, Brunaboyne is more than 2,000 years before them. Ireland has thousands of these mounds, left behind from the Stone Age and Bronze Age eras. They were stone circles, hill forts, and ring forts. The mound of the hostages on the hill of Tara is perfectly aligned to the sun. On 2 mornings of every year, the mound's interior is illuminated. One of those days is at the beginning of May, and the other is at the beginning of November, around the time of Halloween. These weren't Celtic buildings. The Celts arrived in Ireland later during the Iron Age, 2,500 years ago. They thought fairies lived inside these older ancient mounds, so they called them fairy forts. No one dared disturb the mounds, as doing such was cursed. Some in Ireland today still believe in those curses. In 2011, an Irish businessman worth $4 billion went bankrupt shortly after attempting to move a fairy fort. Along with caves, wells, and mists, fairy forts were doorways to invisible other worlds. The ancient supernatural race, the Tuatha Dé Danann, lived in the Tir na Nog otherworld, often entered through Brunaboyne. They agreed to go underground after the Celts arrived. The spirits and fairies of the mounds are the descendants of the Tuatha Dé Danann and called the Ishi. They may get frustrated at times, feeling displaced from their ancestral homeland. Ishi are always called the good people in conversation, not because they were good, but because they might be listening. The Irish Celts' main form of wealth was in cattle. They brought their cows up to open pastures in summer and back down at the beginning of winter. These transition periods were the most important times of the Celtic year. Summer celebrated fertility, while winter honored the dead. Beltane was the celebration from winter to summer. Samhain was the celebration from summer to winter. The thinnest veil between our realms and the other worlds were during these 2 times of year. The feared Ishi could more easily visit us then. Wanting to stay in their good graces, the Celts offered gifts and treats at their doorsteps to ensure they would survive the winter, but distance was kept from the Ishi, who were not used to close interactions. There are many types of Ishi. The Catshi blessed any house that left a saucer of milk out for it to drink. Otherwise, a curse left the house with dry cows that provided no milk. Celts remembered and honored their dead ancestors during Samhain. Candlelight guided a family's dead relatives back home. Souls could gift blessings to a family. If wronged while alive, souls might return for revenge with a curse. Some dead people who lived a bad or evil life weren't allowed into the other world. They wander our world without purpose and are often troublesome. Large bonfires on a hill acted as a gathering point for activities. The Celts put out their household fires and relit them using a central bonfire. The common fire bonded the community together and protected everyone by banishing evil. Sometimes people and their livestock walked between 2 bonfires as a cleansing ritual. Many old Irish stories took place around Samhain. It was the annual night that the Daoibh, king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, met with the Morrigan, a shape-shifting queen of war and fate. Lugh defeated Balor the Fomorian during one Samhain. Aelin set fire to the hill of Tara every Samhain, until he was killed by the great warrior Finn McCool. The cattle raid of Cooley between Queen Maeve of Connacht and Culcullen began on Samhain. Stories are often told at a far more local level that involve a grandmother or a person from the village and their interactions with the Ishi. Groups went from farm to farm in disguise so as not to meet the Ishi on a dark night. They feared they may get carried away to the other world and never to return. So they imitated a spirit, a fairy, or a dead soul. No one knew who was human and who wasn't. Children went door to door accepting offerings intended for the Ishi or the dead. They might do something in return, such as tell a story or sing a song. Often they played games or fooled others by mischievous pranks. People shared a brack containing either a coin or a ring. Whoever got the slice with the coin meant future wealth in the coming year, while the ring meant marriage. Eating a salty bannock revealed a future spouse who would quench their thirst in a dream. Other practices predicted the coming weather or someone's death. People turned turnips into lanterns that are difficult to carve. They were more scary than cute, as they were used to ward off evil. Pumpkins are not native to Ireland. Ireland was the only Celtic region not conquered by Rome. Celtic traditions continued centuries longer than other regions in continental Europe or Britain, so Ireland became many people's primary reference for Celtic culture. Catholicism expanded throughout Europe and touched Ireland 1,500 years ago. Followers held new Christian celebrations on the same dates as older pagan festivals. A 3-day festival of All Saints' Eve, All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day began 1,300 years ago, with Pope Gregory IV altering the date to that of Samhain about a century later. People of Celtic descent made their way across the Atlantic 400 years ago. They brought both Samhain and their Catholic traditions with them. Another name for saint is Hallow. Americans later shortened that name, All Hallows Evening, to simply Halloween. Over time, the night became an inclusive holiday appealing to all people. Disguises, pranks, songs, and treats continue traditions that began thousands of years ago. Orange celebrates crops, while black honors and remembers the dead. Pumpkins replace turnips, as they are easier to carve. The day has always been one of fun and remembrance. Samhain Hanadív, and happy Halloween.